Great interview there with George Cook. And if you've just joined us, this is Like to Be 2020 with myself, Julia Saunders, and the lovely Charlie Young. Hey! It's been an incredible morning so far. We're going into the afternoon now. And if you just tuned in, we are live and we want more of your questions coming through, like the one I'm about to read out to you from the Priory Trust. And the question is, what can school children do now to better their skills in cyber before going to college or university? Now, somebody very kindly from CGI has said there is so much you can do, depending on whether or not you're looking for a technical role. If you're looking for a technical-based career, then there are loads of online tutorials, free resources, and videos that can introduce you to coding.
Good old coding. That's something I really need to take up. I know nothing about coding.
Yeah, I need to do coding as well.
Massive respect for anybody who does that. My younger brother is really good. So I'm going to pop on to another question as well that we've had through. Thank you so much for everything that you're sending through.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. So Bradley Stokes School sent in this. How many hours do you work as a paramedic? Which is, I mean, I can imagine it's a pretty long job. So we've actually got an answer to that question from Lee Gable. He's actually doing the apprenticeship, or he's the apprenticeship lead at the North Bristol NHS Trust. So basically, paramedics will generally work a standard of 37.5 hours a week. I thought that was going to be day.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, there's not that many hours in a day.
What's going on, isn't it?
What's going on here? Which is split into 3 to 4 shifts in a week. This usually is the same for most clinical and emergency staff working for the NHS, including doctors and nurses, as we require staff in these areas to be able to provide a service running 24/7. And I mean, they really do provide a service 24/7. Hats off to paramedics.
And in terms of paramedics, let's go from paramedics to some yoga.
So hi, I'm Rob, I'm also known as Yoga Dad, and I'm here with you today at this Career Inspiration Show just to bring you a short 15-minute yoga session over your lunch break. I've already offered one session, which is chair-based. This time we're heading outdoors into quite a chilly November afternoon just to record a standing sequence. For this one, you'll need either a water bottle or a lunchbox, something like that, or something that you can grab onto as we kind of go through a little bit of a balancing sequence. Otherwise, yeah, let's just get on with it. Right. Okay. So to stand yourself up, if you're spending quite a lot of time sitting down, particularly as careers day, or even when you're in a classroom, that kind of thing, assemblies, just taking the opportunities when you can, just to kind of find yourself into a nice standing position. So let's rock ourselves from side to side, and just really feel that connection through either sides of each of the feet. And even roll ourselves forward onto the balls of the feet and onto the heels, and just careful not to tip yourself over in one direction or the other. Now turning the palms facing forward, fingers pointing down towards the floor, thumbs pointing away from the body. And closing the eyes just for a moment. And as you feel that grounding down through the floor, whether you're inside or outside today, really feel that lift, that energy is flowing all the way through from beneath you, all the way along the fronts and the backs of the legs, knees and thighs lifting up towards the hips. That engagement all the way along the back of the legs as well, that intensification already of the stretch, all the way from the heels up towards the hips, along the front of the upper body, across the chest, along the length of the spine, along the back, all the way up towards the neck, chin tucking in towards the chest, lengthening along the back of the neck, reaching all the way up through the back of the head towards the top of the head, and from the top of the head all the way up towards the ceiling or this beautiful blue sky that's above me today. And with the fingers just stretching down almost as though they could touch down towards the floor, just feel that stretch now all the way along the sides of the neck, the tops of the shoulders, and along the sides of the arms down towards the floor beneath you. Now nice soft gaze, open the eyes. So we're going to start today for this session with a breathing sequence. So we're going to take the left hand and just bring it just below the belly button, okay? We're going to place the right hand on top of the left, and we're going to just start breathing in and out. As we breathe in, we're going to lift our right hand up, And as we stop breathing in, we're going to stop the hand. And as we breathe out, we're going to lower that hand back down towards the floor. Now the challenge is to get that top hand to come back into contact with that lower hand. Now I'll do that a few more times. So elbows out towards the side, inhaling, lifting that top hand up, seeing how far you can get it up towards the head. And then exhaling, breathing out all the way back down towards that lower hand again, and see if you can land that back down. Twice more. Inhaling, lift up, and just go to a position that feels good to you. You might find you can get all the way up towards the top of the head or even above it. And then breathing out as you kind of lower that hand back down, all the way down towards that bottom hand. Now, next time we're going to close the eyes. So as long as that feels good to you, feels comfortable to you, breathe in again, lengthening, deepening that breath, lifting that top hand up, maybe all the way up towards the shoulders, the nose, the top of the head. And then breathing out as you lower that hand back down. And with the eyes still closed, just seeing if you can land that hand all the way back down towards that lower hand. Now I'll do that one more time. Inhale and lift up. Feeling the breath expanding between the palms, facing up towards one another. And then back down again one final time, slowly deepening, lengthening the breath, lowering that head down, that top hand all the way down towards the bottom hand again. And now taking the hands down either side. Great stuff, I hope you enjoyed that. So now, we're going to move ourselves, I'm turning myself sideways on. We're still in our standing position, so you still face forward. The feet hip distance apart. I'm going to place the palms together in front of the heart, okay? I'm going to take the arms up and overhead, rooting the fingers high up in towards the sky, shoulders away from the ears, bringing the hands together into a prayer position above the head, and then back towards the centre on an inhale, and an exhale, back towards the heart again. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhaling, lifting the arms up, feeling that stretch all the way along the side body, and exhaling, hands back in front of the heart again. Twice more. Inhaling, lift up. Shoulders nicely away from the ears, nice and relaxed down. Exhaling back to the centre, and once more. Inhaling up and overhead, reaching all the way along the side body. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhaling, lifting the arms up, feeling that stretch all the way along the side body. And exhaling, hands back in front of the heart again. Twice more. Inhaling, lift up. Shoulders nicely away from the ears, nice and relaxed down. Exhaling back to the centre, and once more. Inhaling up and overhead, reaching all the way along the side body, and back to the centre. Now this time we're going to inhale and lift the arms up and overhead. And we're going to turn our palms down, so they're facing down towards the floor, fingers pointing forward. And as we exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips and looking along our hands, allowing our fingers now to reach down towards the floor. So don't worry too much if you can't get the fingers all the way down towards the feet, just keeping the knees nice and bent to ease any strain you might be feeling along the back of the legs. And then keeping the knees bent, we're going to inhale and lift the arms back up and overhead. And exhaling back to centre. We'll do that twice more. This time we'll keep our palms up above the head again. As we inhale and we exhale, keeping the palms, just running those thumbs all the way along the front of the nose, down the chest, down towards the belly button. Turning the palms now down towards the floor, still with the hands in prayer position. Head nice and relaxed down towards the floor. And we'll inhale and separate the hands and bring the hands onto the shins now. And exhaling again to fold forward, keeping the knees nice and bent, bringing the palms back together. Inhaling, lifting the palms back up again. Turning the palms back up towards the ceiling, the sky above. And exhaling, separating them away and out towards the side. And back to the centre of the prayer position. Do that once more. Inhaling, lifting the arms up. Hands above the head in the prayer position. Running those thumbs all the way along the front of the body. Turning the fingers now down towards the floor, still in that prayer position. Allowing the hands now to land down between the feet. Feeling that stretch now along the back of the legs. Inhaling, hands to the shins with a flat back. Exhaling back down towards the floor. Head nice and relaxed, gazing back between the knees. Fingers, hands back in towards one another. And in the knees. Inhaling, lifting the arms back up in that prayer position. And exhaling, arms out to the side. And bringing them back round to the centre. Now we're going to take ourselves into a chair position, but we're not going to use a seat this time. we're going to take our fingers and just tap them down either sides of the feet, bending our knees to do so, and lowering the bum down towards the floor. We're going to take our palms now out in front, so facing down towards the floor, fingers reaching away from us. Inhale into lengthen, and as we exhale, we're going to press down through the hands, drive down through the heels, standing ourselves back up again. Inhaling, lifting the arms back up and overhead. Back into prayer position as we exhale and bringing the hands back in front of the heart. Do that twice more. Again, tapping the fingers either side of the feet, bending the knees, lowering the bum down. Maybe that little bit lower this time. Feeling that intensification in the activation in the thigh muscles. Arms out in front, palms down towards the floor, fingers pointing forward. Inhaling to lengthen. Exhaling again, driving down through the heels, lifting yourself back up into a standing position. Inhaling, arms out wide. Exhaling, hands back into prayer position and back in front of the heart. Once more. Bending those knees, lowering the bum down. Maybe even that little bit lower this time. Really feel that warming sensation in the thighs. Arms out in front, palms facing down. Shoulders nice and relaxed away from the ears. Exhaling, pressing down again with the palms. Straightening the legs. Inhaling, arms up and overhead. And exhaling, hands back to the centre. Okay, we take our arms now down by the side. Let's bring our water bottles or lunch boxes just out in front of us. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use the water bottle just because it's a little bit more even on the ground. So let's just try and do some balancing. We're going to take our hands onto our hips first, looking down towards the floor. So finding a fixed point ahead of you, preferably not one of your kind of friends, that kind of thing. You might be toppling over. So finding that fixed point and then just slowly lifting the left heel up. So lifting, resting the foot now on the ball of that left foot and just shifting the weight across towards the right hand side. Lowering the left heel down, same on the opposite side. So just testing your balance first before we move into a more complex balancing position, but hopefully should be a bit of fun. So just keeping moving, one side to the other, lifting one heel and then the other, shifting the weight across. And being on an uneven grass surface, you might find that I topple over in a minute, but let's just see how I get on. Okay, so we finish on the final side. Now this time, I'm going to keep my hands on the hips. I'm going to keep that fixed point ahead of us, so looking down towards the floor, grounding down now through the right foot, so really feeling that strength, that rooting down through the right heel. We're going to lift our left heel up, and then we're going to lift our left knee. Okay, so lift our left knee up towards the upper body, and then exhaling back down. Okay, shift the weight across towards the left-hand side, lifting yourself up onto the ball of the right foot, lifting the right heel, and then slowly lifting the right knee up towards the upper body, still keeping the hands on the hips, that fixed point ahead of you, just keeping that nice soft gaze, and then lowering it back down. Okay, this time we're going to lift the left heel, we're going to lift our left knee, and we're going to try and tilt forward and see if we can grab hold of the bottle or lunchbox that's in front of us. Whoa. So really still keeping reaching down through that standing leg, lifting that left knee back forward again, and lowering the left foot back down. Okay, we'll do the same on the opposite side. So this time we lift the right heel, keep our hands on our hips, still with the water bottle or lunchbox in our hands, lifting the right knee up, really feeling that strength all the way through all four corners of that left foot, grounding down through the heel of the left foot, slowly tilting forward, hinging at the hips, extending that right leg back, lower the bottle back down towards the floor. Okay, I've made it more difficult for myself, the bottle's toppled over. Lifting the right knee back forward again, up towards the upper body, and left foot back, right foot back down again. We'll do that once more on either side, lift that bottle back up. So lifting, left heel again, lifting left knee up towards the upper body, keeping that fixed gaze, that fixed point ahead of you, just nice soft gaze, just to help steady yourself. And then option, just to tilt yourself forward. And this time, option to take the opposite. Alright, so you extend the left leg back, reaching forward with the right hand, lifting the left knee up, landing the left foot back down again, and then we do the same on the opposite side. Right heel up this time, hands onto the hips, fixed point ahead, slowly lifting the right knee up, and then slowly tilting the body forward, hinging at the hips, and with the left hand just placing the bottle, lunchbox down on the floor as that right leg extends back, hands onto the hips, right knee forward, and right foot back down towards the floor. I'm just shaking it all out. Out, seeing how that feels. Great stuff. Okay, we bring ourselves back into a standing position now. Centre of our mat if we're using one, but just wherever we find ourselves comfortable. And just start swaying again from side to side, really feeling that connection now through all four corners of the feet again. Forward and back onto the balls and the heels of the feet. Just careful not to topple over again. And bringing the hands again down by the side, palms facing forward, fingers reaching down towards the floor, closing the eyes. Just reflecting, taking a moment just to reflect upon how you've moved, created shapes, integrated the breath with the movements, and used your mind to really focus on the way in which you kind of tune into those different feelings and sensations in the body, just for this small amount of time today. And when so much of the focus today for this career inspiration show is around looking to the future, just using the breath, using those sensations, those feelings in the body, and the way in which you can kind of focus the mind, just to bring it all back to now, how you feel today, and where that might take you in the future. Nice soft gaze, open the eyes. Thank you for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed that session. I certainly did. As I said, it's the kind of thing you can do at school, at home, you know, in playgrounds, that kind of thing. So feel free to use this at any time. And yeah, look out for more videos from me at some point in the future. And have an awesome rest of the day. And hopefully this has re-energized you for what you've got coming up this afternoon.
And welcome back to LTB 2020 with myself, Junior Saunders, aka Street, and Posh. Charlie.
AKA Charlie.
Yeah, no, we've got nicknames. We've developed nicknames for ourselves now. That works really, really well. I'm Street and Charlie is Posh. It's very good indeed. So I just want to quickly tell you about something as we move on to our next segment. Something's just come in, and it's an absolutely incredible opportunity for many people within the Southwest if you're interested in journalism. Now, as ITN are celebrating the 65th anniversary as the producer of ITV News, Channel 4 News and Channel 5 News are currently giving children aged 7 to 14 the opportunity to be a reporter for the day. The prizes include,
so cool.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm literally like, oh my days, why was this not around when I was younger? Seriously, it would have taken me a lot of, nope, nearly there, kind of there, not really there.
I don't know, if we add your age, 3 and 5 together, that makes you 8. I think you could do it.
Well, I'm definitely immature in that sense anyway, so I reckon it could definitely work. So basically, the prizes include an iPad, an opportunity to come and have a tour of the TV studios, and the 31st of December of this year, so New Year's Eve, is the deadline. I cannot emphasize to you enough, we're both within the TV world anyway. This is a fantastic opportunity for anybody that wants to get into journalism, and a really effective journalism as that. If you're interested, then this is the website you need to know. mynewsin65.com. That is mynewsin65.com for all the latest news, information regarding ITN's a huge opportunity for 2020.
Definitely check that out, guys. So that brings us to the end of our last hour. I hope you're feeling all limbered up after all of your yoga. We're feeling pretty zen here in the studio. And we're going to be moving on to a new theme, which is all about health and social care. And in this session, again, we've got a couple of teasers for you to look at. And also we're going to be having some inspiring chats. But we just want to reiterate to everybody watching The Like to Plead platform's got loads going on. So there are loads of different tabs and places that you can go into to get more specific advice for the career of your choice. So if you go into our Like to Be events page, then you will find the different tabs at the top. If you navigate around there, you can go into different career categories. I mean, we have 12. So there's literally something for everybody in there. Make sure that you're going in there and checking all of that out, and you can speak more specifically to exhibitors that can give you more solid advice. You know, people actually from those industries, whether it's business, nursing, you name it. Navy.
They're all in there.
They're all in there. We have got it all. So who's coming up next?
So Fabian is a lovely lady that I spoke to quite recently, and she wants to change the way that well-being is managed within the curriculum and schools. Very passionate lady, Like to Be 2020. Check it out.
So welcome back to Like to Be 2020 with myself, Julia Saunders. We're joined by somebody truly incredible, somebody who is very enthusiastic about change, 20 years in education. But not only that, we'll be delivering a workshop all about well-being to young people and actually wants to change the world. And I'm serious when I say this, change the world in its entirety, and actually embed the curriculum and embed well-being into the curriculum. That is the mission. We would like to welcome to Be 2020 Fabian. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. I know that introduction was just like
yes,
showing the incredible work.
Massive.
The incredible work that you're doing. So talk to me, 20 years in education, do you think it's changed from when you originally started in 2000 up until 2020?
I'm not sure it has changed as drastically as we might think it has. I think I've taught across all age years. So from, I've taught languages in nursery, I've taught in primary school, in secondary schools, university, FE colleges. So I've seen sort of across the boundaries. To be honest, I think the way we do schooling, so when I talk about education, I think for me, being a linguist, it's important to talk to be quite accurate with our language. So for me, education is more than just a schooling system. And so the schooling system itself, I don't think has changed very much.
And how would you envision well-being being onboarded within the national curriculum? How important is well-being to young people, especially now in a time where we're under these sad conditions?
More than ever, it's vital. It's just so important. We have to embed well-being in the curriculum, because what's driving a lot of my questions. I'm sorry, I'm moving around because my dog.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. It's all good, man.
my dog has decided to sort of come and wedge herself behind me. A cocker spaniel.
Oh my days, let's have a look. Oh, she's lovely. Sorry. The look that she's giving me is like...
Sorry. She was pestering me as I was trying to talk, so she's come back.
It's all good. Well, she'll probably hear my voice and think to herself, who's this loud guy that's speaking to my mum? Who's this?
So, to go back to your question,
yes.
Never we need to embed well-being in the curriculum. And what's driving a lot of my work is the question, what happens to the fun-loving 3-year-old, this curious sort of fun-loving child, and how come he or she, he, depending on who they are, turns into what we see in the press, which is the most unhappy teenager in Europe, strokes, parts of the world. That is driving a lot of my work, and the questions is what happens. And I understand from my research that there is nature. So, genetically, we know that young people, as they sort of transition from childhood into teenage years, there's more likelihood that they may develop mental ill health. but I think there's more to it than just nature. There's also the environment and what we call epigenetics, how our environment will affect our well-being. And I just sadly believe that our current schooling system is not fostering well-being, and that needs to change. We need to make sure that, you know, we embed well-being in everything we do.
Absolutely. And from your research, you mentioned then, really prevalent point actually, research purposes, University of Bristol, obviously you're a lecturer there. How important is it of the environmental factors to a young person's perspective and how they evaluate their life moving forward? How important, and what evidence have you found from that being a real trigger point to a turning point maybe perhaps in their life?
Well, young people, nobody is an island. We don't live in, we're not individuals who just sort of, you know, live in a tiny island, not interacting with others. We interact with loads of people, and so of course the environment young people are in will absolutely affect them, absolutely. And you know, when I talk about the schooling system not fostering well-being, for me, I think we need to talk about education as a system. So parents are also part of the environment, you know, young people live in, and you know, they interact with their parents or their carers or their siblings. They also have their peers that will affect them. The schooling system will affect them. So all of this will have an impact. There's also society, the society we live in. Personally, the work I do is not so, I'm not a mental, you know, I'm not an expert in mental ill health. That's not what I do. My research is about well-being and what makes us flourish or not flourish. And there is a difference in the sense that what I'm interested in, or what I've been looking at over the last 6 years, is what makes young people flourish at university, and you know, and therefore can we take that into secondary schools and primary schools. So what I'm, you know, and I think I want that to be sort of very clear from the offset. I'm not a mental health professional. You know, I don't deal with people who suffer from mental ill health, because I think that's a different conversation. I think these people need professional help. What I look at is normal sort of mental health, as in the same way that normal physical health, you know, go up and down, we flourish and languish. And yes, absolutely, all the environments, what young people are surrounded with is definitely having an impact, and our society also has an impact on young people. So one of the most important factor, I guess, that has changed, when you were asking me about has our school or education system changed, what has changed is young people now have access to a mobile phone. I haven't got mine here, but I was going to show my mobile phone technology, and so they're connected 24/7. They get access to the news. You know, their brain is not fully developed. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until they're 25. So they can't, personally, I don't think they can handle some of the really challenging things that they are seeing or hearing, and that will add to their stress levels, of course, because, you know, if all you hear is about a pandemic, is about you know, being in sort of a crisis in terms of like the economy, and so therefore worrying, for talking about my students at university, thinking, will I find a job when I graduate, all of those things, that's adding pressure to the already existing contributing factors to the next stress.
And it's interesting what you just said actually about, you know, the flourishing analogy, because when, you know, a long time ago when I was in secondary school, I was in special education, I got brought up in care, and I got to 14 years old and I made the decision to prove everybody wrong, even though my environment wasn't one of flourishing. So my question to you is, can young people still flourish despite the surroundings that they're in, to really maximize their full potential?
Yes. So, well, you're an example, right?
Yeah.
I come From a working class background, so I was educated. I'm French. I lived in France. My mum and dad. My dad was a mechanic. My mum worked in a supermarket. First generation to go to university. I was told by my French teacher when I was 15 that I would amount to nothing, and that I was a good for nothing. And at that point, I decided that I would show him that I could do something.
I absolutely relate to you on that one, by the way, because many people, sorry to cut you, but many people, when they tell you that, you want to really prove that actually you're wrong, and that I've got the power to change my life. So it was a catalyst for me, really.
I agree with you. I think it depends also on the individual. Some individuals will be completely destroyed by that, so they might not want to fight back, or they might not want to show to the teacher, for example, that I can show you. They might just actually accept it as a fact and take it on board that I'm worthless, and so that can also have an extremely sort of negative impact. But you can, my day job, beside the research, is I manage the French language provision at the University of Bristol. So there you go. My French teacher told me I was good for nothing, and here I am managing a team of 12 people. So I think in a way, this is what also is driving a lot of the work that I'm doing, is that we can, as parents and as teachers, we can do so much damage in terms of the self-esteem, self-worth, all of those things. That is really important, like the words we use to describe individuals, and I guess the need to pigeonhole people, and so for people to fit in. Very often the stories I hear from young people is they say, I feel like I'm a round peg trying to be fitted in a square hole, or vice versa, sort of like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. And I think that's the danger, isn't it? So sort of like, if we standardize learning and standardize the expectations, so thinking that everybody should fit in this particular standardized system, well, if you don't fit in this, then what happens to you as an individual, and what happens then, what are the effects in the long term?
How important would you say, from a well-being perspective, and we'll keep it from a well-being perspective, not anything else, is an event like to be where young people can actually feel in control of a time of adversity right now, as we are in COVID-19 in 2020, that aspirations can still be maintained and aspirations can still be high?
Yes. So, but to do that, you need to be aware that possibly whether you are triggered or whether you are in a stress response or not. What's really important, part of the work that I've started doing with some secondary schools is getting young people, and that's partly what we're going to be doing in the workshop, is understanding what our stress response is, so how we respond to stress and how it may manifest in us. Because for me, if you don't have first awareness, so getting to know yourself, and understanding how you respond to a stress, to whatever the event, then you can't put things into place. You can't open up your toolbox and look at what it is you need to do for yourself as an individual. So the thing is, I think one thing that's often not talked enough about, in the same way that I think there's not enough focus on human flourishing and how we can all flourish, is that if you look at our body is always looking for homeostasis. So homeostasis, for people who don't know what it is, literally means that your body will try to go back to balance. Okay, so it's
that. Thank you very much for the education tool there. So
homeostasis is that if you experience a stress a stressful event, your body, your nervous system will be triggered, but actually it will try and balance to bring you back down to sort of being balanced and in equilibrium. Okay, that's just the nature of how our body works. And in fact, the same happens with everything that is being regulated in your body. So my take is that, if you understand what triggers you, what events, because you can't in life, no matter who you are, you can't prevent things from happening. Okay, life sometimes is challenging. We all experience challenges regardless of who we are. That's part of being human. It is human suffering, and actually in effect it's about, okay, how do I handle those events? How do I cope with those events? Do I have the tools and the ability to handle those events? And the support network also, because it's not just about mental health, it's also about social health. So, having the support network and the people around you who will help you, and you make you feel not lonely, but actually supported, for example. So yes, I think we can, I think as human beings, we overly underestimate how resilient we are. It's inbuilt. We are built to handle the challenges, and it's more about teaching. I don't think you can prevent any events from happening, unfortunately. I wish I could, but you can't. It's sort of like part of life. But it's, giving the tools and the resources for our young people so that they can face those challenges effectively, or as effectively as possible. And that also they're not afraid to ask for help, that if they are struggling, that's another thing that I often see, is that people don't ask for help, because asking for help is a sign of weakness, or is seen as a sign of weakness, when for me it's a sign of strength, because you're realizing that you can't do it alone.
And that's a really credible notion to have. And I think that, young people can sometimes empower adults as well, because I've seen a really juxtaposition where, teaching staff's morale might have been quite low, and it's the young person who is really like, "Miss, sir, you're an unbelievable teacher. You do amazing work." And because their answer is so honest, that then empowers other people. Because I often say that, children are our teachers. They're the closest to what life was. They came into this world a lot less time than what I did. So therefore they're closer to almost like the upgrades, you know what I mean? That's my kind of take on it. In terms of your well-being practices within schools, because you mentioned it earlier, around the secondary workshops that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about that perhaps?
Yes, so basically the key training that I have is I'm trained in mindfulness, and I'm a trained hypnotherapist, and I've trained into compassion and self-compassion. So they're really like the basis of what I teach, how to become. So I think initially it's more about pacifying your mind. It's about sort of recognizing that if you imagine that your mind is effectively like a calm, normally it's like a clear, calm pool. But that's really when we are stressed or we are anxious, we have a lot of thoughts and emotions, and then it becomes a little bit like bubbles. So it's just sort of like really suddenly becomes quite murky, and loads of bubbles sort of in the surface. And initially maybe the training might be about pacifying your mind, so you can just sort of calm the overthinking, be with the emotions, recognize the emotions, all of those things. I think the most simple tool I teach is the power of the breath. So we so underestimate our breathing, and one of the things that I'll be teaching next week is the power in particular of the out breath. So actually our nervous system is linked to the in breath and out breath, so you're not to go too sort of technical in terms of terminology, but our nervous system when we are triggered in terms of stress. It's called the parasympathetic nervous system. You can call it the threat system, and that is literally in breath. You know, when you're about to fight, you breathe in.
Oh, you're really putting them up there, ain't you?
That's it. And then the sympathetic nervous system, which is the other side of the nervous system, is linked to your out breath.
Wow.
And so you may have noticed that naturally when you are stressed, you sigh a lot. Yeah, sighing is your body knowing that it needs to release the stress. So actually, simply by breathing out longer exhales, we can trigger our sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system and release the stress. So there's very simple techniques that we can use that are extremely powerful.
And I think the way that you've just explained it as well is really captivating me, and I'm sure it's captivating many people watching now. You know, it's those simple things that we don't really highlight that really have an impact on the way that we are as human beings. And I think that, as you rightly stated before, you know, as your body is starting to make up until the age of 25, all of these things, if you can channel them and correct them in the early infancy, they can have such a powerful effect later on, in terms of when you're actually made up. Quick question, 5 tips for young people, what they can do right now if they're feeling rather stressed. Do you have any advice around that?
Yes. So the first one, acknowledge. So recognize that you are stressed and state it. So share with others. We are social animals. So we are, and that's one of the things that I see a lot in our research, and in the second book that I wrote with Dr. Dominic Thompson, we say that unfortunately our young people are growing in a society that is all about very individualistic and highly competitive. Okay, and so what we need to do is sort of bring people together rather than just being them and us, and that constant sort of separation. So saying to someone, a friend, you know, a teacher, your parents, your carers, anyone, I'm not feeling okay, I'm feeling stressed. So acknowledging, expressing it. Then very simply taking a breath in, a long breath out. The other tip I would give is that because we are social animals, the body doesn't know the difference if you do it for long enough. If you do this with your hand, so hold your hand.
I'm gonna try this. Right.
Do that, or
yeah.
do that.
Yes.
Or even put your hands on your heart, or
right.
around your shoulders like that, like you're holding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it over sort of 20-30 seconds, your body doesn't know that it's not somebody else giving you a hug. So it will
really?
It will release oxytocin, and oxytocin is known as hormone.
Yeah.
So in fact it's what mothers release when they give birth, for example, to bond with their children when they first come out. So these nice simple tips or ways to sort of really release the oxytocin, sort of get kicking the parasympathetic nervous system.
Wow. And 2 more?
2 more. So
if you can.
Really get into a habit also of listening to, so asking your friends, how are you? And rather than just not listening, then asking on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? So people can gauge where you're at. Is it a 5 or a 6, and why? Because that's really helpful. And I would say the last one for young people probably is make sure that you eat healthily, that you go out in the daylight, particularly now that it's winter and that with the lockdown it's a little bit more difficult. Make sure that you get some sunlight, and the most important, sleep. Okay, sleep is the most linked to it. For me, it's chicken and egg. So we don't quite know whether it's your sleep that goes first and then your mental health starts being affected, or vice versa. There's loads of research that's being done around the importance of sleep. But in young people, what happens is a lot of young people sleep with their mobile phones, or they look at their screens before they go to bed. And the problem is the light will actually affect the way, you know, their sleep anyway. Also because teenagers have will naturally have a body rhythm that is slightly different from us as adults. So, and that's again is evolutionary. So there's a reason for that. Is when we were cavemen, the adults and the children would go to sleep, and the teenage cavemen and cave girls, whatever, you know, cave boys and girls, whatever you want to name them, would actually gather together to try and create their own tribes. So it's also inbuilt, it's normal that our children need to go to bed later than us, but they also need to sleep longer than us in the morning. And obviously the current schooling system with the early rising is quite challenging for them, because they might feel very tired when they wake up in the morning.
I genuinely didn't know that. You're educating me more and more and more, right? To know that actually my daughter is 17 years old, and when she doesn't get up in the morning or goes to bed really late, actually, if she had that credible piece of information, it's in our DNA, it's what we're supposed to do, then I'd be kind of like, oh, okay.
Yes. So it doesn't mean that you don't encourage them to sleep and to go to bed, but you can cut them a bit more slack in terms of understanding what is going on for them. Is the same with, you know, if it's parents who are listening, if you wonder why your child is walking with their hoodie in front of you or behind you, looking at you going, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Completely normal, because if our children during that period did not learn to almost be embarrassed of us, they would never leave the nest, they would never create their own tribe. So they naturally have to separate emotionally from you and be embarrassed of you, so they can then go and develop that sort of ability to leave you. So if your child suddenly, you know, your teenager sort of turns into this person, and you just sort of think, oh my God, they don't want to be with me, or they don't want to, you know, it's normal. Great. Encourage that independence and that sort of fostering other relationships, in particular with other, you know, if they're a boy, with other males that you trust, that are not, you know, your husband or your partner, and vice versa. If you're a, you know, girl, with other, you know, female adults, because that's what they need. They need to be able to sort of become independent and you know, well beings, well grown ups.
Do you know what? I could speak to you all day. You've been absolutely incredible guest for us at Like to Be 2020. Before I go, I just want to throw a complete random question at you, because I'm all about empowerment. I'm all about young people feeling inspired, empowered, especially because of the climate we're in at the moment. If you had a blank piece of paper and you could rewrite the curriculum, you could put the first sentence within that curriculum, what would it be? Now, I know it's completely random, but in terms of placing well-being top of the agenda for young people, what would be really important for you to write down and to them?
I would empower young people to keep that curiosity. So I go back to my comments about what happens to the curious, fun-loving 2- and 3-year-olds. And I always say, if you are a parent, think back about the time when your child was starting to walk, starting to crawl, starting to speak. Did you have to bribe them to walk, speak, or talk? And the answer is no, you didn't. And why didn't you? Is because as human beings, we are wired to be curious, to want to grow, and to want to learn. And so for me, what I would change is that we don't need to treat our children like dogs or animals. We don't have to treat it as behavioral, where we teach them, you know, you do something I like, you're a good girl. You don't do something I like, you're a naughty girl or naughty boy. That's Skinner's sort of behavioral psychology. And that works great if you want your dog to obey you for the rest of their life when they're with you. It doesn't work for children that we want to become, you know, grown-ups, you know, flourishing adults. So I would say, let's focus on an education system that fosters curiosity, flexibility, openness. And that means that it's not about teaching to test. It's not about high stake exams and about knowledge. It's about skills. So what do we want? You know, for me, the education system is not just the schooling system. The schooling system is a subsection of education. And education is from birth to the grave. You stop learning when you die. And it's lifelong learning. So let's foster lifelong learning and curiosity.
And you've been an absolutely incredible guest on Like to Be 2020. I'm sure, because this is obviously a pre-record, so you know it's happening as we're speaking right now, but it's not actually happening. But it's all good anyway. I'm definitely going to check out your workshop. Absolutely incredible. Where can people find out more information about your practices? Because I know you're a lecturer at the University of Bristol, but if anyone wants to research any of your work, is there a website you can post them to?
So yes, so people can find me I'm on Twitter under Flourishing HE. I'm also on Instagram under Flourishing Edu, as in EDU. On Facebook, so I've got a Facebook page for Flourishing Education, and also people can find a podcast which is called Flourishing Education, and it's hosted by Anchor, but you can find it on Spotify and on Apple Podcast, all of those things. So Flourishing Education. And if parents want to read the books, then I've got my 2 books, Flourishing Students, which is more for teachers, and How to Grow a Grown Up, which is for parents. And then obviously people can find the website is flourishingeducation.co.uk, and there's my details there. So if people have questions or want to reach out, then they can feel free to do that.
Thank you so much, Fabian Valls from the University of Bristol. And yeah, hope you're enjoying the day so far, ladies and gents, whatever school you're in, whoever you're connecting with. Like to Be 2020 is here to ensure that you feel inspired and empowered by the activities of the world of work, the world of well-being, and actually the world of you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
That's okay. Take care.
And thank you very much, Fabian, for that incredible interview. Real great insight into well-being and how ambitious she is to change the curriculum in terms of actually embedding that into the curriculum and making that a really useful tool moving forward. It's been an incredible day so far. If you've just tuned in, I'm Julius Saunders. Welcome to Like to Be 2020. This is the lovely Charlie Young. We have some incredible news. You can participate with us live via the Like to Be website. If you've got any photos, if you've got any questions, I want you all to take classroom selfies. Now, miss, sir, blame me. It's our fault, all right? We want you interactive. All you need to do is email info@liketobe.org and pop your picture on attachment, send it to us, and you never know. This is live television, so we could actually show it up here, subject to, you know, obviously certain permissions and stuff. But it'd be great to see some interaction from yourselves.
Okay guys, and we're now going to swoop into another interview, an interview that I had with Jack Richardson from the Bristol Rovers Football Club. Hi everyone, welcome back for another interview session. This one is for all the football fans out there, or for anyone who might be looking to pursue a career in this sport. So I'm joined by Jack, who's Head of Sport and Head of Recruitment at the Bristol Rovers Community Trust. And we're going to be talking all about the opportunities that they might be able to offer you. So Jack, where are you beaming in from at the moment? Are you in Bristol?
Yeah, I'm at home.
At home, like everyone.
Yeah, at home as I'm going to be for a while now.
Office, I like it.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I live in Emerson's Green, so quite close to the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Easy commute for you then when you are able to go back in?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's not too far, about 10-15 minutes. It's quite central to everything as well, for me anyway. So yeah, no, it's really convenient.
Awesome. So can you start by first of all just telling me a bit about the Bristol Rovers Community Trust? What do you do and what do you offer?
Yeah, so the Community Trust is the charity linked to Bristol Rovers Football Club. They offer loads of different things for all different ages, abilities, backgrounds, etc. So my role specifically, obviously I work in the post-16 education courses. So we have a little college within the Community Trust. But alongside that, there's community coaches, a community manager, a CEO, and their roles are going into schools, coaching, delivering projects to people who are kind of suffering with loneliness at the minute.
Oh, that's nice you're doing that.
Yeah, that's been a really big one at the minute. I think they've been sending out tablets to them so that they can go on video calls with people and things like that. And they've been doing home deliveries with like the first team players, which has been really good. We have a group for over 60s as well, which at the minute has been quite hard with everything going on. But we have had them in like small groups so they can still kind of have that normality in a way. But they'd normally in an average day away from COVID, they'd come in a big group, do a quiz, game of bingo, they'd take them out somewhere for a couple of hours once a week, which is really good. So yeah, we run loads of different projects. Like I said, it's not just football, all sports, all different ages, all different types of people. We try and cater for everything.
No, that's brilliant. It's lovely to see that you include people of all ages, and also that alongside your college that you're doing a lot of community outreach, which is, you know, great. And by doing community outreach, I think you can learn a lot of transferable skills. So it's not just about learning the sport with you, it's also about, you know, learning other things too.
No, definitely. I think that's a really good thing about our BTEC program and our college course. Doing it with us, yes, you get the education and yes, you get the football element, but you also get the side of being in kind of a full-time place of work, which is running every day and seeing like what they're doing and going out to projects like this. Our BTEC students have got a complete certain amount of work experience every year. So whether that might be coming into a school with me to go to a careers fair, whether that's going to do the extra time club with the older people, delivering a parcel to someone on the loneliness project, they're seeing all different types of people and learning different transferable skills, like you say.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And so you mentioned before you're running this college. What BTEC courses are you running?
So we just do a level 3 BTEC in sport. We have done a level 2 BTEC in sport in the past, but that's kind of purely based on numbers and if we have enough to run the course. But yeah, mainly it's just a level 3 BTEC in sport program that we run. So we have education suite underneath the first team change rooms at the Memorial Stadium, where we have 2 classrooms, 3 as of next year. Classes are split. Yeah, so we have classes which are no more than 15 because we like it to be quite small side classes so that the students can get more out of it. Because a lot of the students that come to us kind of say, oh, well, when I was in school, it felt like there was too many people around me.
Yeah.
Couldn't really get the help I needed, but we feel that in classes of 15 that, you know, you get 3 hours, 2.5 hours with your tutor every day. That's enough time for the tutor to really help everybody. So yeah. So
you almost get more mentorship from your tutors because they you know, there's less students so that they can spend more time with each of you.
Yeah, exactly. We have students were the same. It's like you'll have students that don't need any help at all, and it will come in and literally get on with their work. They won't want to be. They don't need any help. They literally headphones in, bang around, do it, and off they go.
Yeah.
Some students, like you say, they all learn differently, and they all kind of tick differently as well. So in that respect, if there are students that do need a little bit of extra support, it's there. And it's not such a big class that the tutor will never get round, or once they've seen them once, they won't be able to see them again. It's, if you need the help, it's there constantly.
And these courses are for girls and boys, aren't they? We're always trying to break the stereotype.
Yeah, it's for girls and boys. I think so this year we have our first girls 11-a-side team in the college league, which is really good. Last year we did futsal with the girls, and this year we've gone to 11-a-side football. So we're hoping to sustain that again next year. Well, we will be. And it's really good that obviously in the last 2 years, Bristol Rovers Women's FC's launched again. So we've got a direct link into that for any girls that are kind of wanting to play football on the weekend as well. So you could do a full-time football programme with us, training 3 times a week, playing on a Wednesday, and then being with the same coaches on the weekend, representing the Bristol Rovers Women's first team if the opportunity becomes available.
That's amazing. That's so great that you have that sort of, potential for progression that way if someone was interested in doing that. So
I think going back to what, like I was saying earlier about all the projects that the Trust do, the really nice thing is that we've got students with us now that have come to like fun days or like clubs that we run in the week since they were about 11 years old.
Yeah. And
they've gone from fun day to like 14 to 16 on a Tuesday night, then into the BTEC, and then hopefully after the BTEC they'll do the degree, and then there could be a chance that there's a chance of employment at the end of it.
Amazing.
Which is the pathway that we want to kind of show to people, that we want to show is out there if people can work and apply themselves in the right way.
What about you? What's your story? So how did you get to where you are now?
So I did the BTEC course somewhere else. Another football club. No, I did it at Bristol City. It's a really good course, to be quite honest with you. It gives you that kind of chance to kind of experience a little bit something else in school, like I was saying earlier about the employment chances, and I had exactly the same with Bristol City. So yeah, I did that, and then after that I was going to stay on to do the degree, but I didn't. I went out and started working within schools, and doing like PE lessons and things like that. And then I've always just kind of done little bits of coaching. I coach a men's football team on a weekend. And I remember, I think it's 3 years ago, I started working at Rovers. I seen the job, which kind of was the best of both for me. I had the coaching element with the head of sport, and then the recruitment element of going out and meeting year 11s, year 10s, under 16s football clubs, and kind of seeing what they want to do in their career, and then helping them. So it combined it both. Perfect role for me at the time.
No, that's great. It's great to hear. And what qualifications do young people need to get onto your courses?
So to get onto our course, so the level 3 BTEC in sport, you need 4 GCSEs level 4 and above. Or if you do a BTEC level 2, then that means you automatically get a place, as it's the pathway onto the level 3. So if you're doing that in school, you get an automatic place. But for any reason, like I said about the level 2, if you don't get the grades, and we had enough students that didn't get the grades, then there's a possibility that we'd run a BTEC level 2, and it'd be an extra year before the level 3. You don't have to have English and maths included in those results, as we have English and maths tutors with us that will put you through your English and maths if you haven't quite got the grade, and then we can put you through the exam to retake that as well.
Maths was always my sore spot. Never enjoyed maths at school. I'm a much more creative mind when it came to maths. So that's good to hear. And so how has COVID impacted you? We've spoken, this is a question that I ask to everybody because, it's the reality that we're living in right now. Are you still able to run your courses as normal?
Yes, we are. So I think this time the last lockdown, I think everybody, it was just gonna stay at home, we'll just be at home. I think this one, we've been a little bit more, okay, what have we learned from the last one? All of our courses, we can still run from online. The BTEC work won't stop. We'll do that over Zoom, etc. We've still been training up until today, obviously, as we spoke about.
Yep.
But now we're going into a 2-week isolation period anyway, so that'll all stop. But we'll be still doing an hour of kind of fitness over Zoom every day. We'll still be doing the tutorial sessions we do. We'll still be doing the lessons. The support's still there one-to-one. So yeah, nothing changes for us apart from this over a computer screen instead of face-to-face. So yeah.
It's good to hear, though. I think everyone's obviously trying to find their way, but it's great to hear that you are continuing and managing in the wake of all of this.
No, I think like you said, it is the new normal now. So yeah, we had I think we had like 5 months where people were just kind of like, oh, we'll wait for it to blow over, and it just hasn't. So we're just gonna have to get to grips with it. Like I said, like the loneliness stuff, we're sending out the tablets. The older people, I think the staff are doing phone calls to them twice a week just to check in. So I think it's just the little things like that.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. And so, you know, we've spoken about the qualifications that you need to get onto certain BTEC courses. Are there any, you know, is it competitive to get onto your courses? And also, what are the attributes that you're looking for? Because what we're trying to help students with here is like, you know, trying to think about things that they can do, skills that they can develop to really help them progress, because qualifications is one thing, but also, you know, skills and experience seem to be having quite a large weighting in you know, the success rate of getting a job.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say it is quite competitive to get on the courses. We've had more applicants this year. I think we're at kind of the highest level of applicants we've had at this stage so far. So we're anticipating a really big cohort. But on the flip side of that, we are like a charity linked to a football club. So our aim is to help people. So we hardly ever, and we don't like turning people away. Because that's what we're there to do at the end of the day. We're there to give people opportunity. So yeah, but at the same time, in terms of what we're looking for, we're just looking for people to have a kind of a can-do attitude and be kind of committed to working hard and applying themselves when they come onto the course. We have quite a bit of contact with them from when they apply, so we'll do like a training session, like a one-to-one meeting. We'll send out a little bit of like work for them to do just to see what they're like. We're just looking for a little bit of engagement with that more than anything. Just to show that they kind of chuck themselves in and they're willing to give it all a go. So yeah.
So how many hours a week? Is it like, you know, a sort of, I suppose, like a normal school day, sort of Monday to Friday? Yeah,
so it is Monday to Friday. Wednesdays are when they go and play their games against other football league clubs in the league. So Wednesdays are kind of, you're either at a game or you're not in. But yeah, so it'd be Mondays, for example. Well, every day training starts at 9 till 10:30. Then they either have a break until 2, or they will have a lesson from 11:30 till 2. And then the other class are coming from 2 till 4:30. So it's probably about 4 or 5 hours a day, 5.5 hours a day, spread across a day, or at the beginning or at the end kind of thing. So yeah, it's a full-time, like a full-time course. They're in 5 days a week basically. But it's like I said before, if, for example, their lesson finishes at 2, they haven't quite finished their work, whatever, there's opportunity for them to stay and complete things.
A big question, do you set homework?
I'm not really sure. It's probably homework. I mean, they have basically, it's kind of like, look, you're 16, 17, 18 now, you're old enough to manage your kind of deadlines in a way. This is when your work's got to be in. If you want to do it properly and get it in plenty of time, do so. If you're scrambling around at 11:30 on the night before, I can imagine there's a few like that. But no, I think, like I said, deadlines are set. We encourage them to kind of complete it in lesson. If they don't, they'll have time at home to do it. But no, all the students are excellent with that anyway.
And so, you know, you're a charity that is connected to the football club. You know, I imagine a lot of, you know, young people that might be interested in coming and joining with you probably also a fan of the football club and the players. Do they ever get to do anything with them?
Yeah, we've got this year, well, from the last lockdown especially, we had a really good relationship with the first team. So over the last lockdown, we had 5 of the first team that come on and did like Zoom sessions with all of our students, which is really good. We had open trial in the last half term, and Alex Rodman, one of the first team players, come down and did a bit of a Q&A at the end of the open trial. And then Mark Little, another one of the first team lads, he come to our last open evening and was at the open evening, kind of chatting to students, chatting about what they wanted to do, did a bit of a Q&A at the end. So yeah, because we're below the first team changing rooms, we are quite close in the areas that everybody's going in the same door, basically.
Literally just a bit of concrete separating.
Yeah, basically. So we do have, and we have down in the education suite, there's a room which is the first teams. It's the press room. So if any of the players are doing interviews, they're coming down to do an interview in with us. And this season, they've been using our classroom to do analysis and pre-match meetings. Okay. So yeah, we've got quite a good relationship with them this year, and something that I know a lot of the first team lads, the ones I spoke about, are keen to kind of do more with us and engage with the community a little bit more. It's probably harder this year with COVID because they're in a little bit of a bubble where if one of them gets it, their fixtures could be cancelled and things like that. So
quite stakes, isn't it? If one of them gets COVID, then it's obviously quite a big hit for the whole team.
Yeah, but no, it has been, for a lot of the guys, like you said, who are big Rovers fans, I think it's a bit of an eye-opener. Like on the first couple of weeks, you see them walking in, just see them chatting to people, so which is really good. I guess if you're a 16, 17-year-old Rovers fan, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it would be very exciting to maybe see some people that you really idolise or that really look up to, and to be so close. And you train at the same stadium?
So we train at Lockley Sports Centre, just down the road.
Okay.
The facility we have full access to it. So it's a brilliant facility. It's not long been open. Like I said, we have full access to that, to 4G football pitches, which is brilliant. The first team have just opened a new training ground, so they've just moved up there, which is brilliant for the football club, to be honest. So yeah, but no, at the start of the season, I think they were eating at the stadium, so they were in quite a bit as well. So, but yeah, there is a lot of kind of contact, and you see him quite a lot. I mean, yesterday the new manager got announced, and he got announced at 3:30, and they were all in a lesson. And you could just hear their phones pinging, ping, 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 and then as I've left, the new manager was out the front doing an interview with someone. And I was like, the last thing he probably wants is all these students come bounding over. But no, it's a really good environment to learn in the end of the day. If it's something that you're passionate about, you're in a place that you love, like it's only going to help you.
Yeah, it seems so inspiring. And I guess one of my last questions is, so, there might be young people that are interested in actually progressing on and playing the sport, but then there might be others that might want to go into different parts of, the sports sector, maybe want to do journalism, maybe want to do coaching. Do your courses offer the opportunity to sort of, go off in those directions?
Yeah, completely. There's no real set route as to where it takes yours. We had an open evening last night over Zoom, and I was chatting to a parent at the end, actually, because he said to me, what will it lead on to do? And I basically said, I said, I don't know, to be honest. It purely depends on what your son wants to go and do, or daughter. And like I said to him, that if he wants to be a coach, there's opportunities for him to go out and get the experience of coaching. We put him through their FA level 1 coaching badge. If he applies himself and chucks himself into the work experience, does the degree with us, then there's a chance he could gain employment with us as a coach. If he doesn't want to be a coach, wants to be a physio or whatever, we can try and help him with getting work experience for that. And I think that's the key thing. I think it's just about asking and being keen. And like I said, there's a degree we run afterwards if you're interested in coaching. Or the kind of qualification you'll get will get you enough UCAS points to go on and do most other degrees at university anyway. So it's not a case of, because I think a lot of parents kind of think, it ties them to just football, which it doesn't. We've had so many students that have just gone on to do like just things totally away from sport as well. You do that 2 years, get the qualification, and go, oh, you know what, I want to do this now. But the qualification gave them enough kind of UCAS points to go and do what they wanted to do at uni. So what I'd say, I think I said it to him last night, it doesn't close any doors, it just opens more, which I think when you're 16, 17 and you're not really sure, that's kind of what you want.
Absolutely. What you need is a supportive environment where you can gain lots of skills that are transferable, and then have that support of people around you to help you sort of progress. So no, sounds brilliant. All the work that you're doing sounds awesome. And if people want to, or youngsters want to find out more, can they just head over to the website and get in touch?
Yeah, head over to the website. Our open evenings are promoted on there. So if you are interested, sign up to an open evening, sign up to the open trials, or send us an email and I'll be in touch. But yeah, we got a next open evening, the 21st of January, I believe. So get yourself onto that if you're interested.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Jack. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I honestly was thinking about moving into football after that chat. I thought, well, this could be a great vocation for me. I think I would be a good football player. Look at me go.
You're now not only a marine scientist, you're actually a qualified footballer.
Yeah, that's me. Right, guys, we're actually going to be going away for a short break. But in the meantime, whilst we're away, you're going to have the chance to watch a really exciting interview that I had with Karam Hare, who's from the Civil Services Race Forum. And honestly, it was so inspiring to talk to him. He has so much energy and so many great thoughts on so many things. And this is going to basically be kick-starting our next theme, which is on the public civil services. And these guys have really important jobs. They basically make society function, which is no easy feat, really.
And what's really nice is people will actually see how down to earth he is, how relatable he is, and actually, because you work as a civil servant, it doesn't necessarily live up to the stereotypes. They lack individuality, and as you'll see through the interview, it will really show his personality as well.
So guys, to go and watch that, make sure you go over onto the LTB page and you're looking on the timeline, and there we've posted a link to Karam's interview that I had with him, and we'll be back shortly on YouTube with our live link.
LTB 2020.